Chapter 16, Daiva Asura Sampad Vibhag Yoga. Deva means a divine personality or the god or saintly personality, saint or yogic personality. And Asura means demons, those who have a negative personality or demons kind of activity or very cruel, so totally opposite. So what is this difference between the Deva and Asura? So Krishna is explaining about very detail about in this chapter of what are the discriminating qualities, what happens if we acquire this quality of asura or demons, demonic qualities. So how to overcome it, and what are the areas, which way we are connected, and how to overcome this. So before we start, we just recap what we did of the last chapter so that you will connect. So last chapter was, we talk about chapter 15, Purushottam Yoga. So that is the supreme divine personality. That time we talk about what are the supreme quality if you want to become a deva, if you want to become a divine personality, what are the quality we should have. So we discussed about that. So to summarize that chapter, we said we need to give priority to the divinity that we are experiencing day-to-day life. And Krishna explained about the Aswat tree that we discussed. That tree is it's not a normal tree, it's a reverse tree. He gave the example of that how the trunk is the human bodies, and then all the material existence that is irrigated by this mode of three gunas in this material natures, and how our senses, all the senses object is like that buds that is multiplying that tree. So indirect way we talk about this desire, that how there's unlimited desire, it is we are running out of us, and all our thoughts is creating the attachment and desire and karma and anger and all this. So today also I will talk about this slide again in detail, how the desire comes in, although we have discussed this slide in earlier chapter 6, but Krishna is again talk about this part, the three issues with this our mindset. So we talk about the ego, that we don't know our true personality. So we always recommend and refer about, oh, I am Prashant, I am David, I am so and so. So we don't know our true existence. And that's where the issues we discuss about, that how the asanga, the detachment, you can find the misery of this misleading of the soul. We can detach. Once you have a detachment, then only you can be free from that. And for that you need to know the self knowledge, which is very important. So that is like a X. And then we need to use this tree. We need to give up the pride, the I. What is this I all about? That we need to give up and eliminate all this attachment what we are holding in the material world. And same time we need to detach and attach with the divine and the God in the selfless services. Then we will get the purification of the mind and the heart, and then we will get that highly God loving situation, and then we can uplift ourselves. Now again we discuss, this is interesting part, is striving for the knowledge is not always enough. We need to be guided, we need to be reminded, we need to be directed in this path of journey, in this path of spirituality. And that's where we need a teacher, we need a guru, so that we need a support, we need a constant awareness that can help us. And we need to use our perception in the right ways so that we can decide what is right and what is wrong. So that's why we use our intelligence, and we don't use and make aside our senses. That is, generally the intellect cannot comprehend certain things. So we have to go beyond intellect and then perceive the things as it is and feel it. And that's where we need to know the bhakti. And again, once we aware about it, because so many things that is go beyond our intellect, we cannot comprehend that why certain things is happening, why certain things is not happening. So that is where we need to go beyond our intellect to find the proper answers, understanding. Now, so that's what we talk about, how to become a divine personality in the chapter 15. Now chapter 16, it's altogether total 24 verses. The first 5 verses, the Krishna is explaining about the difference between the Deva and Asuras, the saint kind of characteristics and the demonic kind of characteristics. And 6 to 20, he talked more detail about the demonic properties and how they are generating and what are the cause that we will develop this kind of characteristics or quality, and what will be the consequences once we get that, what will be our uh, progress, or how what will going to happen if we are acquiring this kind of qualities or characteristics. And last 21 to 24, he's also give inspiration about that, how should we follow, what will be our authority, what will be our guidance. So he talk about the importance of the scriptures, he talk about importance of the guideline, that which to follow. So he talk about so-called the do's and don'ts to follow that through the scriptures. So that will be more tried and tested, so-called the human manuals, so that we need to follow. So that's where this chapter in a way is a very short and simple chapter. If you want to summarize this chapter in one line, then we need to follow this. Is one line is being good itself reward itself. You know, if you become a good person, if you become a Devi Tattva, if you become a divine person or the saint kind of quality, if you develop, then it's more than the reward itself, and that will help us to go further our spiritual path, and it will help us to achieve our spiritual goal easier. Now, this chapter, although is very simple and we have a difference between the two personalities, we can relate in our day-to-day life. All these qualities, we become this. So in that sense, you will see that we have a more, you will see the responsibility that we need to work a lot of things from this chapter. It is not easy. So far in the other chapter, what we see is more about the information. Now this is where we need to work on certain qualities, or to develop, or certain qualities we need to remove it. So Krishna says in the first verse itself, Krishna described the 26 virtues of the saintly nature. So what are those 26 virtues? So in a general ways, we need to basically develop this, that if we have all these 26 virtues, or even lesser or more or less, then we are going towards our nature, which should be a more saintly nature. So the first he talk about the fearlessness. We should not be fear. So as a saint, as a yogi, as a divine person or the Devi person, we should be always fearlessness. There should not be fear. Talk about purity of mind, then steadiness of the spiritual knowledge. So now let me explain the important ones. Some of them we already discussed in the few chapters. Some of them we already discussed in Yoga Sutra. Some of them is already talk about in Ashtanga Yoga, and some of them is self-explanatory. Let me explain the fearlessness. Now, if you see nowadays, majority people has a fear, and that is also one reason that we are having a lot of emotions issues. We have a, in fact, the fear is the root cause of also a stress or the all the issues. So when we say the stress is a root cause of the all the issues, the ade is a cause of the all the vyadi. But if you go beyond the stress, what makes the stress is generation of the stress. I think there will be the fear. Now, fear can be a unknown, fear can be a losing of the relationship, fear can be a losing of the money, the losing of the job, losing of the situation, losing of the country, anything that we have a fear to lose it. Now, can we think, can we put here a little bit of more awareness here, and can we try to find out what makes us to fear? What is the cause of the fear? If we can find that, what is the cause of the fear, then you will see the difference. Then it is very easy to remove or the work with the fear. And once you remove or work with the fear, then it is very easy to work with all the emotions. Do you know what will be the cause of the fear? The very simple thing called attachment. When we attach something or some situation or with some person, that's where we start developing the fear. Knowingly, unknowingly, very subtly, we are allowing the fear in our. So when you attach, the fear is the bundle deal for that. It's a package deal. Whenever you attach with the mobile phone, then there is a fear of losing that mobile phone. There is a fear of the mobile phone get be destroy or maybe not function well. So we need to take care of that more. So little bit the scratch is happening, then we feel not good about it. So if you see that day to day life, we have so much of attachment that we already discussed, attached by this material world and generated by these three gunas. So all this fear, the majority, the reason what we develop is that attachment. So once you are attached, the fear is bound to come. You cannot separate the fear from the attachment. So the fear, if you want to work on the fear, then we need to work on the attachment. Because if you don't attach, you don't have no fear. There's nothing to lose. So that automatically you develop the fearlessness. So try to figure out, try to note down that what makes you fear most. What is your biggest fear, or what happens to something happens and then you can disturb by this. So that will allow you. So this chapter, as I said earlier, you need to work on a lot of journaling here to dig out, and then qualities, so that you will be aware about, oh, these are the qualities I want to work on it, these are the quality I want to remove it, these are the quality is unknown. Sometimes I feel, sometimes I not feel, or sometimes certain situation I feel. Sometimes you may aware, sometimes you may not aware. So we need to be understand and work on it. So we need to do a lot of pen and paper in this chapter particularly, and do a lot of internal scanning for your emotions. Purity of mind. The purity of mind is very important. Here Krishna don't talk about heart here. He talk about the mind. He said you have to purify. So in that sense also the Saucha, the Ashtanga Yoga, the Yama Niyama, so what we talk about, the Saucha. So the purity is very important, the do's. Now, when nowadays our mind is full of negativity, full of jealousy, hatred, the discrimination, then all these things is all in a way is like a negativity. We are not pure. We don't see as it is. We always judge a people. We always judge a situation. We try to compare. We try to give our opinion. We try to become judgmental. So these are the areas Krishna says you have to be pure and as it is, and you approach the situation as it going, like how the child is receiving the information and child is behaving the person, the situation, or whatever situation they are in. So we in that sense our mindset should be pure as like a child. Now, steadiness in spiritual knowledge also very important. One of the saintly nature Krishna defined is we need to have a steadiness in our spiritual knowledge. Now this comes in like number 3 and number 7 is similar, but number 7 is talk about more the study of the sacred books or the knowledgeable books, or to upgrade. So something like Vedas or the like spiritual discussions or satsang, that we need to keep learning in terms of knowledge. or you need to read it, or you need to discuss with the amongst the people. Will need to develop this kind of communication or community to talk about, or discuss or ask the questions. And that will give you the stability and steady fastness in the spiritual knowledge. What we knowledge, what we got it already, let's say you already know the certain practices, certain meditations, so we need to practice, we need to be daily, need to grow every day. Remember, if you talk about, we gave the example of kaizen. So every day we need to be bit by bit, point by point, we need to grow in terms of our knowledge, in terms of our practice. So that's why the steadiness you will develop, that's why the faith you will develop. Not like today you are good, tomorrow you are not good. So there is no steadiness, there is no stability. So we need to develop that. We talk about charity also. Now charity is very interesting. Now this charity, you don't talk about that you do a donations or you pay some money to the temple, or the knowingly. Krishna talk about charity in a few ways and different ways. Charity in that sense, you give away more than uh, you need. So if I have a, let's say, extra money, I have a 3 extra cars, so I may use 1 or 2 car for my let's say public use, or I give my friend to operate, or if I have a 3 houses, so 1 house I can give a free those who have a needy ones. Okay, you can lend, give to that, maybe to a business, or or maybe they can stay together, or you have a 5 extra room, then you can lend your friend, okay, you can stay in my house or whatever. So this is also kind of charity he was talking about, that you need only a 1 room or 1 kitchen or 1 house or whatever, then whatever you have extra, maybe in terms of house, in terms of car, in terms of all these material things, including money and everything, that you try to give the needy ones, not only the money and time and all these things, and then you can share about it. So this is where we need to think about it, that if you see that way, that we have a lot of clothes, we have a lot of shoes, so that we need to see that how many times I'm utilizing, or regular I'm wearing only the 5 pair of shoes. So now another extra 5 pair of shoes I have, so that I need to give away those who have a needy ones, or the similarly the clothing. So all this activity nowadays is getting popular or started by extra donation of the t-shirt or the food or the whatever it is there. So that is what the charity Krishna is asking. So though we have that, if they have a nature like this, then we are going towards the is more saintly nature. Control over the senses, that is, we talk about the pratyahara here. So mastery over the senses, and then withdrawal of the senses. You don't be indulged into the senses. Performance of sacrifice, so we know how to sacrifice, you see the priority. So so we need to see in our life what is important, and sometimes we need to ready to sacrifice maybe certain things, whatever, for the benefit of the other people or benefit of the humanity, if it is required. Study is important. Austerity is tapa. So self-discipline or the tapa is very important. In that, this is why it's not easy to become a spiritual path to continuation, as we need. We need to keep discipline. We need to keep self-discipline. We need to keep motivated ourselves. If we cannot, then we need to build up the a group or the people like-minded, so that we can push each other. And then you need to develop that self strong mindset, that I would like to stand, or I would like to do a self uh, tapasya, is like you want to sit down for lotus posture in 1 hour, or you want to do fasting for today. So that's where you are like going beyond this comfort zone. So that tapa is a similar tapa we talk about in Ashtanga Yoga. Straightforwardness also very important. Krishna says that you have to be very clear what you are talking about. Don't just talk about the diplomatically, or just you come to and communicate whatever your point is. Very simple way, very straightforward way. Don't like push around the things, and then you don't manipulate your thought and talks. So you just focus your behavior and what you want to talk, and then you stay firm in that. Non-violence, truthfulness, absence of anger. It talk about anger, you should not have anger. And renunciation. So whenever the time requires, whenever you have opportunity, you let go, you renounce. Now it can be renounce your job, renounce your opportunity, renounce your money, renounce your food, renounce anything, that whatever the small opportunity is coming. So that's where we will develop. Now this renunciation will help us to remove the extra attachment with the situation, whatever, and then you can work with the fear very easily. Because if you have a fear, you cannot renounce. It's a similarly, you want to renounce your job, you want to let go your job, you will first immediately think, or your colleague or your family member, if you leave your job, what will happen, who will feed you, how are you going to survive, how are we going to pay the bills. So we need to start small thing to renounce. Oh, today, let me see, uh, I can renounce my whatever my favorite, let's say, dress. I don't want to wear, I want to wear something else, and I want to donate this part. So you start slowly, and then you will see that how much attachment we have in a small thing. We have a difficulty to let go, we have a difficulty to give away, we have a difficulty to work on it. So once we start doing this small thing to renounce, then you will find there is no fear, there is nothing to lose, and you feel more light. And that's where it will renunciation help you to reduce your attachment. And after reducing your attachment, once you reduce your attachment, it will, you become a fearless. Because, so as I said earlier, that fear is the one who caused all of us the problem in a different ways. So to work with the fear, to work with that unknown fear, or it can be a fear of loss, we need to work on the attachment. And then to remove the attachment, the renunciation works very well. Now, next 13, it talk about peacefulness. We need to be peacefulness. Now, not only the physical side of it, whenever you perform the asanas, whenever you perform the meditation, you have to be peace. You have to be comfortable with yourself. You have to comfortable with your thoughts. You have to comfortable with your breath. That is the ultimate peace. Not like the absence of the noise is not a peace. Absence or the war is not a peace. So majority time we like to talk about this. The peaceful thing that can be, you can be sit down and doing nothing. And this is the quality Krishna says we need to develop. And this is the most important quality actually and it's difficult. So what I purposely categorized the left side and right side. The left side is little bit easier, certain side. So we go from the easy to the difficult one. So right hand side, you will see that we have issues with the dealing with this world, or if you are doing in business, we have a difficulty. So we need to work on that. So a lot of journalism and writing we need to do in this chapter. So when we practice asanas, when we practice the pranayama, if we are not peaceful, we are not enjoying that process. We are keep thinking about our issues or health issues or problems or whatever, worry. So that is where we are not peaceful at our body, we are not peaceful at our mind, we are not peaceful as with our breath. So Krishna says we need to develop the peacefulness. And that is the reason, whatever it takes. Now, if we need to learn or practice pranayama, you do it. If you want to be sit down, you need to do cooking, you do it. You need to do painting, you need to do it. But try to be comfortable with yourself. So whatever makes you that happiness, and come to closer to your heart, come to closer to your mind, come and enjoy that part. Similarly, restrain from the fault finding. So he said another thing, you just focus your business, mind your own business, forget about the other people. Now here we are very good, we are master actually to find others fault, unsolicited advice. We are immediately become a lawyer or doctor, that we want to give that um, unsolicited advice, or we need to immediately find, we become a critic, we become a quality checkers, or immediately for that other whatever happens, oh I know this should not work and all this. So unless if anyone asks you, okay, what do you think about, what is your opinion about this project, then we can talk about, okay, this will work, this may not work. But generally in a common scenario nowadays, of two people meet up or common, or we try to find a fault in others. Now we discussed earlier that everyone has some good quality and bad quality, and later on we will know that this is the Devi quality, the 26 virtue Krishna talk about. He will talk about the so-called the four quality, that is the demonic qualities, that we also have it. So technically we have the both one. So now if I see the other person, I should copy paste the good one. We don't need to see the bad qualities. So we need to develop that our senses. We need to develop that our quality such a way that everyone has a good and bad quality. So we need to take the good one and then don't compare. So that way we will become a more like a swan. You know, they say that in Mansarovar there is a swan. The swan has a capability to identify. If you give him the milk and you pour the water, so he will only drink the milk. So he has the capability to separate the milk from the water. So similarly we need to be see that if the person has a 101 the bad quality and only one quality is a good quality, we should learn from that new quality, because everyone has some or other way has a new quality or the good quality that we don't have it. So that we always has to aspire to know more about it and focus more rather than finding faults to other. Similarly, another point he says about compassion towards all the people. That's where you need to see, and that is the way we need to see ourselves in every object, every person, every human beings. If you don't put yourself in others people's perspective, we don't respect, we don't understand. And like previously chapter we discussed about our true existence. Once you know, then you don't have a comparison, because everyone is the same. It's just the physical body is different, the properties is different, but the same electricity is governing our body. That is the same electricity is governing your body. So we don't see the differences, we see the all these similarities. And once you see the similarities, there is no comparison, and then there is automatically the love and compassion is coming in. So we need to bypass this. And once we bypass this, so when you follow the heart, then you will feel the compassions. Then you don't talk about the mind, you don't uh, put the mind in between. Absence of your covetousness. So this is also important. We need to be very powerful. Similarly, we need to do a gentleness. We need to develop the gentleness. Modesty is very important, and fickleness. Again, we said we need to be very steady in our practices, in our knowledge, in our principles. And vigor also very important. That physical strength is important, because healthy body has a healthy mind and healthy spirit will be there. Otherwise you are weak mentally, and then you cannot do. If you cannot take care of your body, how are you going to take care of the humanity? How are you going to take care of your family? How are you going to? So we need to be have that strong physical strength is very important. Forgiveness or the forbiddance is also important. So this way we need to know, learn how to forgive and forget. This is a biggest challenge for us nowadays, because every time we see, oh, you have done this to me 5 years ago, or immediately the ex-boss or ex-boyfriend or girlfriend has come in front of you, immediately we pull out all the negativities rather than the good memories. We talk about, and we our mind is fetching all the negative memories, and then we start comparing, and then maybe the person has changed, but without our notice we already try to label it, and then we need to judge, and then we get a disturbance, because we never forget, we never forgive them. That is the reason we are accepting, and we have accumulating all the toxins in our body. So sooner or later that will come as a disease. Now fortitude also very important. The courage to let go, courage to do the new things, courage to know that my divine, my breath will take care whatever I do, whatever I need to do. And that is what we should have a driving force, you know. So in any issues, understand everyone has to go through the aging, old age, disease and death. That there is no change on this. So there is no point to be fearful about it, there is no point to be weaker about it. So we need to have that courage in pain also. Now it can be a pain in physically or emotionally, or We may have issues with our 101 issues, but we need to be focused, and every breath is coming into our body, no matter if we have a bankruptcy or we have a health issues, but as long as the breath is coming, that means the divine is telling us, keep walking, keep going, I am with you. And have that courage and use that breath as a guiding point, as a strength, and then we need to work on it. Same talk about cleanliness. Again, we talked about earlier, cleanliness is a godliness. So clean, yes, we know how to clean outside. We know how about taking care of our body in terms of looking presentable, and then more about so-called to hygienic way to become a clean. But what about inside? So that's where the kriya is the important one. That we need to perform the kriyas, so that will help us to clean the prana, to clean the pranic body. Then very important is to, what about the emotional detox? What about the emotions cleansing? So that is why Krishna later on give that the actual emotions that we need to work on it, and we should have that the greed, the lust, the anger and jealousy, all these things we need to get away from that. And finally is bearing the enmity towards none. So we should not have any active opposition feeling. We should be just follow, and we should be in general ways. We should not be label it or the strong likes and dislikes and strong against. We should have anyone for us. So that is also important. An absence of vanity. So sometimes we talk about lot of things nowadays, especially like a marketing person. We talk about too much about ourselves, too much about our achievement, too much talk about our um, pride in a way. So that Krishna says that we should not talk about, let the other people talk about. We need to focus what we need to do it. So this chapter Krishna talk about, start the first verse is starting by giving this the saintly nature. There is a 26 virtues he's talk about. Now let's see the next verse is talk about the 6 traits that who possess the demonic nature. So if we have this, so we need to work on this. The other or 26 we need to develop that. And if we have this, we all have this 6 um, negativities. First is hypocrisy. So Krishna listed down the 6 that we should not be hypocrite. We need to remove this. Now this is where we are in fact every one of us nowadays, some way or other way, we are hypocrites. We are practicing and we are claiming that our high standard. We know little bit, maybe at 5% or 10% we show off little bit, either in a body language or in that talk, or in maybe in a material, or maybe in a work, or maybe a show off. We pretend to market ourselves or to market our product. Everywhere everyone is doing hypocrisy nowadays, in terms of product, in terms of services, in terms of teaching, in terms of knowing. Everyone is very part of our lifestyle and our nature, in our blood, in our DNA, that whatever we know we need to promote more. Then otherwise people see you is like, this is very, you don't know anything in a business. That's why they like marketing department. So marketing department is everything is talk about, they are the best. Everyone talk about the best. My teaching is the best, my product is the best, my this is best. So we need to be aware about. Slowly in that environment, if we stay around, we will also become like that. If you have all the marketing friends, and slowly you realize your language, your body language, your thinking process also, you will become like that. So we need to be aware that we need to just show what we know as it is, as like a child. You don't need to be pretend, you don't need to be show off more as a high standard or the belief, and this is very important in our spiritual realms, because a lot of people, they show off in that dress code or that the rituals, and then do tilak and all these things, that they want to show that, oh, I'm a guru, or I have a knowledge, or I by showing my physical appearance, that maybe it will give you that impression immediately, that we already discussed in our class. Tomorrow if I change my look, or maybe a very look, then you may automatically see me a different, your perception towards me is different. If I wear the simple shirt and pant, you will see me different, because this is what people nowadays doing, that whatever I want you to think about me, then I will dress up like this, I will talk about this, I will present myself that's about, rather than I just want to be and to be with you as it is, whatever and daily, however I'm thinking, however I'm talking, however I'm doing it. But there are some talk about it, that you need to sharpen your language, you need to change your accent, you need to do this, you need to be this. For what? One human to another human, sometimes you need to connect the feeling, one heart to another heart. So we need to be very simple as in if, because the moment you go and feel it, there is a communication happens. You don't need to be always use the words. So this hypocrisy is going very, very things. And very sadly, that in the spirituality, the highest hypocrisy you will see that. In a yoga, people, everyone talk about a lot rather than the corporate world. And it is getting worse and worse. So arrogance, because once you have that, then arrogance will automatically develop. So arrogance is also one of the negativity. Krishna says we need to remove it, and otherwise this, any of this one quality can take us down, or it will collapse the whole our all the goods, whatever we did it, we all already gone from this. So conceit, also excessive pride in ourselves. We are too much of pride. We have this, maybe with our body, or I can do a lot of postures, or I can do certain kriyas, or I can do best. I'm the best in this so-called this town, or I'm best in this studio, or best in the country. So a lot of indirect, direct way, people likes to focus, people like to do photography, people like to post, talk about themselves. Everyone is nowadays, if you see the posting of the Instagram or the Facebook, everyone selling themselves. We all become a product nowadays, and we talk about our pride and our achievements, rather than to just talk about, oh hi and how are you, I just be here to meet up with you. So that is slowly going away. Even we two-person meet up as a friends, we talk about, oh, what you are doing and how you are achieving, how much investment, or what is the, why, oh, you are changing the house, now you are going upgrading your house, you're upgrading your car, why you sold your house. We talk about all this rather than the human life. We did, okay, how are you feeling, how is your this and that. So we are going away, our criteria is changing it. Anger is the one, he said, this is the most important part, is that it will destroy everything. It will destroy your first intelligence, and then once the intelligence gone, we have a difficulty to identify what is right and what is wrong. So Krishna says that once you going one by one, it is creating a more mess in our emotions and our qualities. And harshness, because once you have anger, then you become very harsh. You don't respect others, you don't respect as a human, you don't respect the nature, you become very harsh and you become very arrogant. So arrogancy, anger, harshness, that will come. And because once you have anger, as I said, you become ignorance of, you lose the quality of intelligence, that a buddhi bhrast. That means it is already, we lose the power of discrimination, what is right, what is wrong, and then we caught into this, work it out. So we need to be aware, although this 6, if you see the 26 positive points, and you have only 90 negative points, but 6 is very good enough to destroy all this 26 good qualities, or even one quality. So we need to focus more into this 6 the negativities that we are having it, knowingly, unknowingly, or maybe the percentage is there. So we need to work on it. We need to be aware. Once we be aware, that will be very easy for us. Now now further Krishna is talk about difference now. So he already explained about the Devi and Asura qualities. Now we are going furthermore, that what will happen, what is the consequences if you have a divine qualities. He straight away say it will help you to go to liberation. So you don't need to come again, and you will be free from the cycle of birth and death. If you have a demonic qualities, then your destiny will be, you will come again in this samsara, in this world, as a and the part of the cycle of birth and death. So you cannot be liberated from this bondage of this world. So that is why it is very important to not to caught into this negative or demonic or the asura qualities. So what is the solution? So he don't talk about the solutions here, but in other chapter we observe that using the bhakti, and we talk about the practice. You need to go beyond the gunas that we talk about the last chapter. You need to have a devotion and need to practice, and then once you have practice, then you will get that success, and then very easily you have that more positivity, saintly quality you will develop, and then you will it will help you to remove the all these demonic qualities. So we need to be use the bhakti, we need to do the practice, and then we need to have a faith. Now this here again Krishna says there are so many different types of qualities, but you, if any quality you can define into this two major quality of this two extreme the areas, the divine and demonic qualities, deva and asuras. So deva is the divine quality. You are in a more like a celestial abode, and then you are more virtuous quality. As we discussed already, demonic quality will help you to you go to the lower level. And interestingly, in our human beings we have this both quality of mixtures. So based on this, whichever we practice, whichever we allow to grow, either we go higher side, either we go downside, or we may not go somewhere else. Sometimes we good, sometimes we bad. So it's the same way. To understand this, we need to understand the yugas. Now this is very interesting. I don't want to go the measurement of the yuga, because this will be a different topic. But I want to highlight here one thing. That's why I put the slide. According to, we know the day. So in one day we have a 24 hours, and in 1 year we have a 365 days. How this years, number of years and days, hours, minute and seconds calculated, you will be surprised. We have all the calculated in Vedas, already calculated very meticulously, and that is directly related with your breath. So I don't want to go there. That is the part of Swara Yoga. Okay. So to cut short, the universe, the whole universe has a timeline also. So let's say universe has 100 years or 1,000 years. How you define this? How you categorize this four quality of this? Four category of this 25 years, something like that, the 4 years. So they call yugas. So one yuga, maybe let's say 100 years. Second yuga is 200 years. And that once the 4 yuga complete, it is like a one universe year. So in that way, first they talk about Satyuga. So Satyuga, when it's a good time. So that's where the god and demons, they live in a different planet. So that's why all the good people in the one country and the bad people in the another country, something like that. Then the Treta Yuga, they reside in the same planet. So like planet Earth, Treta Yuga, everyone is in the same planet. Dwapar Yuga, they lived in the same family itself. So in our family, you will have a one person is a positive minded, one person is negative minded, one is a very Devi quality, one is a demon qualities. And Kali Yuga. So Kali Yuga, this is the current time, what we are living right now. This time is called Kali Yuga. Now Kali Yuga says all the good and demonic quality exists in a human being mind immediately in our body itself. That's why it's very tricky for us. So we, in one moment we become a very angry person, one moment we become a very good person. So that's why it is very important to become good people or positive all the wise, and we don't allow our mind to become a demon. So because all this negativity is any moment of time, little bit we worry, we frustrate, we become angry. So this is where we are our enemy, and our demon is coming up and we are feeding. And that is the reason we need to practice and understand our tendencies of the mind, that how and which are the virtues and which are the this negativity I'm feeding it. So once you aware, then it is very easy to overcome. So unfortunately, it is all here. So one person can become a kill some person and then immediately he feel regret also. So this is where in a nanosecond we can become a good and we can become a negative person also. So we need to be aware. So that's why we need to progress more. Now that's why our uh, practice is become challenging. So negativity also within us, positivity also within us. The Deva and Asura both is within us. Okay. So that's why there is a code of conduct. That's Krishna says, dharma and adharma. So dharma is the one who's the code of conduct, the right code of conduct that we should follow. Follow for not for ourselves, follow for the humanity. So the simple definition of the or how we should follow the code of conduct to purification and general welfare of the all the living beings. So here we need to be very aware that I want to do something, I want to learn yoga or I want to teach yoga to not for myself, or I want to do it for the welfare of the humanity. So every time when we sell the product, when we talk about it, when we work with the colleague or everything, if we are thinking beyond ourselves, beyond our family, beyond our community, beyond our society, beyond our country, at humanity at large, that is where we are establishing a dharma. So every action, our every action should be think about the humanity. Now this means adharma is you are thinking about yourself and then you are doing the things that is harming to the society. You are creating a product, you are teaching something that is, you are creating a lot of negativity in the other products or other people or other community, or maybe the product is very harmful for the humanity, but still you are doing because it's a profitable business. So this is where we are developing and establishing a dharma, that is eventually it is harming for the society. So we don't bother about the people or the humans. So that's where we need to be aware. Now a lot of people, as I again say, that we sometimes certain things is good for me, but that doesn't mean it is good for the society. So we need to think the society first. When you think about society, you may not like it, so it's fine, but it at large the society's benefit, then go for it. And that's why we need a good dharma or the code of conduct. That's why we have the government, we have the rules and regulations. Otherwise everyone will follow their own, oh I like this, I don't like so if you imagine that you have a traffic light. So traffic light, the moment the red signal comes in, everyone stops. But you think no, red is, I don't bother about, I want to go. Then someone will know. So though it become whole chaos. Someone wants to ride on left hand side, someone wants to ride on the right hand side. It won't work. The whole country or the whole thing, the system become a mess up. So we need to be aware, and that's why there is a rules and regulations. So spiritual rules also there is a universal laws also there we need to follow. So that is where the dharma is there, the code of conduct of the humanity. So we need to follow the humanity manual in that way. Now similarly the suicide bombing, now the person who is doing suicide bombing, they already brainwashed by that this is good for you and this you will develop this and you will get a heaven or whatever they are embodying. What will be the motive? So he may feel proud or feel good about it, and he may think this is the good thing, but it may not good for the humanity because this is wrong. So he's establishing the dharma. So nowadays, in a name of dharma, also a lot of people doing adharma. In a name of religion, a lot of people doing this, establishing adharma. So we need to be very aware. We need to be knowingly, unknowingly. We are supporting the wheat seed. We need to go beyond ourselves. You may not like it certain things, but it be good for the humanity. Then we need to go for the humanity. So we cannot be a selfish. So we need to see similar concept in a different perspective. Krishna explain in a different next slide, after a few slides. Now here Also, and that's where when we talk about the code of conduct, so it's also about there are two ways only you can immoral behavior, or that you can stop this kind of people. There are, one is with the strong willpower, which is very few people has. Not everyone has a strong willpower. Okay, I will go for it and I will work hard and I will try my best and will do it. Majority people, we, if in this is, we talk about the spiritual side of it, but not everyone is. So majority, what people do, they find a shortcut, or they have a fear of God, or the, oh, whatever, fear of religion, fear of God, or fear, they live in a fear, so that, oh, if I die, if I do something wrong with it, then I will have to pay back or something, based on their culture, based on their religion, based on their mindset, understanding the country, the culture, all this play a big role. And they may think about, oh, it may be fear that will affect me, and we are living in that fear, but that will help also to abstain from that sin they cannot perform. So let's say if you have a negativity, you want to steal or you want to kill the people, you may think about the fear of God, or that, oh, I don't want to do this, is wrong, this is unethical, it may be harm to me, or maybe this birth or next birth or whatever. So majority people fall under this fear of God, or fear of this religion, or fear of the belief, all this is coming. In a day-to-day life, we are also very simple, we don't fear with the God. So imagine, immediately you are riding, you are speeding, and then if you see the so-called from far, you will see that police car was spotted, then automatically you reduce the speed, because you don't want to get ticket. So there is a fear that you may get a ticket, you don't just anyhow you want to do it, because, or sometimes, that's what I was telling, when we are in Canada, my friend is, every time he's driving, he knows all the spots. So he said, Prasan, you will see the guy will be there. So and 100% the guy will there. They exactly know that spot, and then they immediately, like every minute, they are catching them. So he knows. So he said, no, guy, I want to reduce the speed. So, but at least that fear is needed, because if there is no fear, then everyone will become adharma. Everyone become establishing the dharma, because not everyone has a control of the mind or the mastery over the mind, and they can follow. So these people you need is similarly, you need a discipline. If you don't have a discipline, then it won't work it out. So similarity in the spiritual life, not everyone has that ability to go beyond the mind. So that's why they follow the Raja Yoga. You need to do yoga, you need to do a pranayama, then you do like a training, systematic military training, and then you go. But some people has that ability, and I let go and I will do, I always, I don't have a hurry and I will follow. Then you directly go and choose the bhakti yoga. So this is where we day to day life also, we live in the fear. The immediately we see some officers or anything, we change our tone, we will change our speed, or we will change our attitude, everything. Now furthermore, in this chapter, Krishna talk about the few words, keep talking about the how our negativity or the demonic mindset is created, and what will is going into that, building up the other negativity talk about. So he talk about all the karmic reactions. So if generally he talk about how the demonic people behave or believe, and then in their mindset. So they are majority more engaged in their self-serving and cruel deeds. They don't bother about anyone, they just focus about themselves, they want to entertain themselves. Now, and they possess the power, and they try to use the misuse of the power. It can be a government, or politicians, or it can be in a business. So the moment we got a power, then we forget how to use that. Or sometimes you get a certain post, or sometimes you get a money, we forget the people who we got a help from that, and we impose the misleading materialistic views. Because the moment you become a big, you become a powerful, then you may impose your views. Oh, oh, I have done it, because this is way, I'm a self-made millionaire, and this is my formula, I have worked hard, or whatever. Or maybe I have some unethical way also, but somehow I'm misleading the people, because people will follow me. I am created examples. for myself. So people always try to learn from ourselves, those who are already achieved. But if you are misleading them knowingly, unknowingly, then you are establishing all this demons kind of mindset and asura mindset, the negativity you are involving. They do not hesitate aggressively pursuing their self-centered goals and self-centered ego. These are the things we sometimes we feel it. We may not have it. We are operating in a very little bit ways. But when you see, once we have a power, that's why we said, if you want to test your friend or any people or colleague, you give them a money, you give them then you know their tendency, their mindset, how they change, their behavior, how they change. Or once they get become super rich, or super, they get a real political power or any kind of material power, then you will see the behavior. They may not know you, or they will treat you differently. So that's where you will see the real human people, that how they can handle the power, how they can handle the money, how they can handle this position. So majority that these are the power, because we don't know how to master the emotions, we don't know how to master these gunas, the tendencies of the mind. That's where we are losing it, and we will possessed by these demons quality. And once we possessed, you become very like impure with the heart, you go beyond this unethical behavior, and then you start all doing all these negative things. You want to make money fast, you want to indulge yourself into all the sensually experiences, and you become again this all this negativity, hypocrisy, and pretending they are not in. So everything will start, you and your intellect is slowly fade away, in that sense that you don't know what is right and what is wrong. In fact, sometimes you know that you are doing is um, for the unethical way, or you are making money and everything, but still you have 101 justification, or you maybe have wrong idea and wrong pride. Oh, I don't believe the god, now I'm the god. So it may go very easily, you can change back to that mindset. So you think that you are the best, and we indulge. Once you have that all this going on, it is very easy to we go on into this uh, we find look for this pleasures for this sensually object intellect. Then we talk about selfish, arrogant, all this will start. And if all going good, you don't bother about the scripture, you don't bother about meditation, you don't know about anything, you busy in your life, everything is smooth, your health and everything, relationship is good, money is good, power is good, then you become very arrogant. There's no connections between you and your mind and your heart and soul. So this is all this slowly you go in a different world, you are, or you become in a more negative side of it. Unless something happens, that unless some timeline is disturbed, then suddenly you wake up, and then you need to come back, and then you realize, oh, I made a mistake or whatever, or maybe some health issues. Then suddenly it's like that bubble is busting. So but it's sometimes it's too late. So again, this is become a more circular, and it started. So your mind, once you are going into that zone, your mind become refuse to accept the intellect that is try to say that you are good. Or even sometimes your friend is try to tell you or invite you for this kind of activity, they don't bother, they said, oh, I don't have time or whatever. So they want to get that experience and the pleasure about themselves only, and they want to find a joy in the more sensually object. Not only that, that experience, they talk about more about they are spending time in then the material world, in including the bringing of the children, the family. Then they are engaging themselves in all the worldly things, rather than to talk about themselves and to talk about that what is the purpose of life, and then how to achieve that. And they are busy in accumulating the wealth, treasures, and the if you have the wealth, then next thing is coming, you need to have a fame. And once you have a fame, then you need to have a power. So there is no end. So the wealth, fame, and the power, these three always it will destroy the human beings. It is the when you see the history also that way. So we need to be aware, we need to be understand that this is a very vicious cycles. And slowly, if we don't have the spiritual base, we don't have that spiritual understanding, then it will be a difficult to gain back. Now this will again, you will see that the money is the meaning of enjoying this world. So do not hesitate. These people do not hesitate to adopt the unlawful means or any wealth or unethical conduct. They can keep going on, and then they can find any ways to make money and anything. And one is entitled to keep as much as they want. They don't bother about the rest of the people, rest of the country. So that's why we say that the 10% of the rich people is having the 90% of the people's wealth. So only few people has the most of the money and most of the things. They, their need is less, but they have a tremendous resources. But there are poor countries is there. There is a rich country and poor country. There are big difference. So still no one wants to help the country. No one wants to go there. And even if the person wants to help the people or that country, there is a hidden agenda is there. There is a fame is there. There is a charity is there. There is a commitment and contract is there. So this kind of thing, Krishna says, it is like a demonic nature. So, and you have to pay that back by at the time of the death. Anyway, we are not taking back anything, and it will come back as a law of karma, that how we spend money, how we earn money in ethically, unethically, we need to be repay back. We need to be understand that law. Very important. To make this understanding, he developed, there is a 4 types of people. So the first is the saintly personalities who sacrifice their life. They don't think about themselves. They think about always the welfare of the others. So this is a more saintly personalities. You will see that. Second, like a common people, like, so the people generally you will feel this. They believe that as long as no one harm me, I won't harm anyone. So we are living in this world that you are engaging as long the welfare and others, provided it won't harm you. So even though they harm you, the moment you see that person is harm you or cheat you, then you don't want to deal with them. So we need to, so this is like a common people. And there are some people is the more demonic side of it, that they are harming others for their self-interest. If I have or something, if I have my own agenda, I want to make money, so I maybe cheat you, or I maybe sell I know the product is not good, but because of I need to make money, so I will sell you that product, although I know about that product is not good. So for my self-interest, I harm you in that way. And the fourth category, there is no name, or there is no suitable name is there, but without there is any reason, they harm the people. They don't need any reason to harm anyone. So this kind of people is the worst category. So Krishna defined that, and is also explained the ego, because once we have that different way, we all have that ego, the pride, the identification. So it's very important here that we should not have this ego comes in and settle it out. In a personal identifications, we have a subtle ego in our opinion, in our appearance, in our what we talk about, what is our belief system. We always try to make this as a point. We are it may be sometimes rigid, and slowly it may build our personality, and our own understanding is going, and identity, the throughout our emotions and memories, it will bundle up slowly, and then it become a part of the package, our emotions. And still we don't understand, then slowly that part will become, slowly will come back again, it will go and come back again, and then it will develop in the more terms of desire, and it may give you the dissatisfaction. So every time you will feel that is not enough, I want to do more, I am like this. So ego is driving you, the emotion is driving you, that you need more money, you need this, you need that. So that's why we caught into that stressfulness, and then uneasiness, and slowly this will go into that anxiety, dissatisfaction, or sometimes you feel boredom, and eventually we are going away from the reality. And then that's why, and you will all talk about your perception about I, and then myself, and so you forget about the real self. And the more you talk about, we don't know how to become humble. That's why we classically says that the tree, whenever the tree got the fruits, when the mango tree get a lot of mango, the tree become very humble and go down, so that we can pluck the mango. But in our day-to-day life, when we have more wealthy or we have more money, then we become proud. We don't share. We don't help each other. So all these things will start other way around. Not only that, our behavior also become different. This is one of the classic classic incident in Mahabharata, when the Duryodhan wants to, because the Duryodhan uncle, the Shakuni, he said that if the Krishna can fight from our side, then we can win this war. So somehow you try to convince the Krishna. So some reason they are like telling, okay, that or no, he basically is try to tell that if the Krishna's army, if we can get it, then we can be, because Krishna's army is huge. So he said, if you somehow you go and ask Krishna, and Krishna, you convince the Krishna that give me your army, and then we can easily win this Mahabharata war. So some reason the whole story going like this, and then some reason Krishna says, okay, Arjun and Krishna, both you come tomorrow 3 o'clock, and whoever come first, they can ask me first, whatever they want to ask, and I will grant it. So Duryodhan is very happy. So like 3 o'clock, so they make all the necessary plans so that Arjun can be late. So they create a lot of obstacles in Arjun's path, so that Arjun can be delayed and Duryodhan will reach. And exactly they'll succeed. So what happens, the Krishna is lie down on this side, and immediately the Duryodhan went first. So Krishna lie down, so he was sleeping. Krishna was sleeping. So Duryodhan stand here immediately on the head side. And after 15 minutes late, Arjun came in, and Arjun was in the feet, the Krishna's feet side. So he was standing there, and both they are waiting for Krishna to wake up. The moment Krishna wake up, and then immediately Krishna smiled to Arjun and said, "Oh Arjun, when you came, I sorry, I felt sleepy." So immediately he is very happy. Then immediately the Duryodhan say from behind, no, I came first. So then Krishna turned around, oh, you also came. But how do I know? Because I saw the Arjun first, he says. So then he start arguing. So Krishna says, you came here to ask me something. So the beggar is always has to be in the feet, not in the head. Technically, he was telling that. So that is the part of the ego. Whenever we want to achieve, we need to do this. We need to be not, you need to be showing that arrogance. That so this is very dramatically they explain about this. And although still he gave the chance to that Arjun, and then Arjun asked, I want you only to be in my side. So Duryodhan very happy that Arjun is stupid that he asked Krishna, and then finally Duryodhan wants all the Krishna's army he wanted, but Arjun said, if you are in my side, I don't have to worry about it. I don't care about your army, but I need you. So this is how they choose the Krishna. So, but the point here is that we talk about ego. So whenever these are the small things we don't aware when we go. So this is where when we, if you are doing a service in a Montessori or in an ashram, certain ashram, they observe you so minutely you don't realize. Then they immediately picked up your emotions, how you sit, where you sit, how you behave, how you do that. Immediately they picked up what are the issues we are having and what we should not do and don'ts. So this is where we need to be aware. And this is where some people in a day-to-day life, we said, we caught up by this emotions and everything that, oh, this should be happening to me. I don't want to be here. And this is very unfair to me. This is where we are telling our sadness, our anxiety, our angry, and we story that we are the one who's suffering. But the more we talk about this, we are expressing ourselves. Now, this is where no matter what we do, you cannot change. We have a choice to do a karma. There is a freedom to do karma, but the actions, the results, we cannot choose. That is already a package deal. So whatever the karma, whatever the actions we choose, the corresponding fruits or the corresponding results, we need to be ready for that. We need to be fulfilled for that. Now, based on our activities of the gunas, we will go either higher level or the remain in the same region, or maybe go to the different level or the low level also. So we need to do the actions and the karma such a way with that we can do higher level of sight of it. So again, Krishna talk about the gunas here. Now, that's why the self centered people, stubborn people, they have the arrogant and pride. That is where they are focusing only on the wealth, and they don't bother about the sacrifice. They don't, even they do a charity, they're using their name, they want to show off. And then nowadays everywhere is that they want to give their own name and then label it, or okay, this is sponsored by this or whatever. So we are using this. So Krishna says this is not the way. If you really want to do, that is like a silent dana. So you keep quiet and then you give the money, or you give the charity, you do this without any show off, without any so-called put your name or whatever. That is the best way to do a charity. You are not doing for anyone else, you are doing for yourself. So you just do it without any, and this is, and you follow the rules of the scriptures. Because once these people have that, they don't bother about any scriptures, they don't bother about any guideline, they focus only about themselves. Once you have that demonic qualities in your presence, then you think about you and you only. And this is where, once we are getting higher and higher levels, we have this emotions is getting multiplied. And then we are very become a it's very become innate nature to finding faults from others. And we start getting that what others are doing, we are more interested rather than what we want to do. We are more managed, and we are more eager to know what she's doing, or how she's getting the students, and what she's teaching, what is her role. We check others website or other people's social media more than what I want to do in my life. And when I want to do it, I should not bother about what others people thinking about, what others people talking about. All these things we need to be aware. So consider them, everything is important. So they are like busy and then doing this. So this is where the mind is getting caught by this demonic qualities what we have. Now, to be very concise and short, Krishna talk about very importantly the three gates. He talk about the three gates that will give you to that, like a gate of hell. So self-destruction for the soul. So we should be aware about these three. First, he says lust, anger, and greed. These three, if we have, then we have issues. Then these are the foundations from that where the demonic qualities will start developing. So we need to work on it. Some way or other way, we have a part of this. Now we need to get rid of this three gates, and we need to make sure that we have how to work on it. The moment you have this three, we all have this, but the moment we are feeding them, this will fester the mind, to make it in suitable ground for the other so-called this vices will take a root, or other negativity will start developing from this. Multiply is like all this how the once you have a cancer cell and how this multiplication happens so fast. Similarly, these are like cells, that is a negativity is multiple fast. And this is where it is creating a gateway for the hell, and is the self-destructions of our emotions, our whatever we do, and slowly we are hypnotized by that. So again here I would like to talk about this, how this strange desire, how we can fall in trap into that lust, fall in trap with this greed and anger. To enhance this, I will repeat again this slide. Once we have the repeated thoughts coming in, immediately we develop the attachment. So once you are thinking any positive or negative thoughts is coming again and again, you will develop the sangha, you will develop the attachment. And remember, I said earlier that when you develop attachment, you will have that fear as well. So it's a part of it. And once you develop the fear, attachment, there is a strong likes and dislikes you will develop. You maybe like or you may not like. Once you like, it will create a desire, the karma, so all the desire. And desire may get fulfilled or unfulfilled. If you fulfilled, then you will develop the greed. And if it is not fulfilled, then it will be create anger. So greed and anger is go hand to hand. So again, and this is where, and when the desire will create a lust. So if you ask me, the desire is the lust, greed is the increased desire. This is developed into greed. And once this desire and fulfilled or unfulfilled, eventually you will develop in angerness. So we need to focus more here, this part. So this is the same part we will develop here. When we talk about the lust, is nothing but the desire. We will having this slowly we have all this nonsense desire will multiply, and anger and the greed. So everything is fallen into this again, and that's where it develop the impulses of the kama krodha, and then slowly it will disturb your prana, and then it will go the beyond our intellect. It will disturb our intellect, discrimination power, and you develop the stress. Still we don't understand, then it will end up into a disease. But once you develop the kama and krodha, we need to work on the mastery over the mind, and then we need to work on the backward, and then you need to control all the mastery. Then we have a positivity. So this is how we should follow this, and this is where we need to be aware that these three is the killer, that we need to work on it very well: the lust, anger, and the greed. Now greed can be in food also. Yeah, oh, can I have, this is one bread, one sandwich is very nice, can I have one more, can I have one more chocolate? So food also we are greedy, clothing also we are greedy. We have the greed, we go beyond our money, so there are so many things, buy one get one free. So the moment we see the sale, the moment we see this tag, immediately we want to buy, we need to go, we want to eat. So all these things, and that's why people are behaving that way. So how to we want to become free? So here there is I think this concept also we discussed. Krishna talk about here, there is a prayer and shreya. So prayer means right now you like it, but at the end it won't be a benefit to you. And shreya is right now maybe unpleasant, you want to practice this where you don't feel it, you don't like it, but eventually it will be benefit for you, and it will give you the sweet the results. So for example, when the students are, the exams coming in, or no one wants to like to read in exams, they want to go and play, they want to watch movie and order, but no. So you make a discipline, you make a shreya, that you want to work hard and you want to get a good marks. Once you pass, then the result you won't see immediate, but after a few years, after 10 years, or after 1 year, you will see that, oh, the reward will be the later. It's like a long-term investment. So prayer and shreya is that way. But prayer, we try to look the short-term benefit. So when you look for the short-term benefit, it is very easy. It is tempting, but the result long-term, we will. It's a trap basically. So to make it very easy, anything will give you the present or the easy thing, don't take it. Go with the slow. If anything, any meditation technique, oh, I will give you the nirvana, I will give you the relaxation. Forget about it. There is no shortcut. Or if it is a give you, it may be, it will stimulate or it will give you some other ways. So in a spiritual life, the shreya is the one we need to grow slowly and steadily. That is very important. Okay. And that is where, this is where the true way we can free from our all the gates and darkness, and we can achieve the higher level of this. So what Krishna says, the best way is to follow the scriptures. The scriptures is like a guide, is a manual of humanity. Many of human manuals is written in the scriptures, in the Vedas. So Krishna very importantly mentioned about that we need to use this as a guide map. And in the Vedas, in the scriptures, we talk about the vidhis and nishedh. what you mean by the vidhi. Vidhi is the certain activities. That is like a dues. We need to perform certain activities that are called as the vidhis. And there are nishedh, that certain things we should not do it. Certain activities we should not do it. If we follow this, what to do and what not to do, then we get a perfected. Then we know our life will, we know the knowledge. We know that, okay, these are the code of conduct of the humanity. These are the code of conduct of this planet earth. These are the code of conduct of how to go into spirituality, and you will get that liberation and this from the material bondage. And that's where the finally Krishna says to Arjun that let the scriptures become your authority. Otherwise, sometimes, and what to do, what not to do, because scriptures or the Vedas, he said, is written from the God itself. If you, and it's very interesting, you're going to find who wrote this. Yesterday also one guy, I was teaching kriyas. I said, who developed this kriya? I said, there is no is just written in the scripture, Hatha Yoga Pradipika. But who is the author? Who is the yogi? No one knows. So if you track back, but it's the perfect. So the Vedas is talk about all the Vedas is written by the Ved Vyasa. It's also avatar of the divine. So in that sense, all the Vedas, all the scriptures is coming. So there is a proper guideline, proper scientific evolution, certain try and tested manual is there. So we need to just follow in that way. So, but some people may think, oh, I will follow my own, whatever I follow my heart, I will do it. Yes, that is fine. But who is going to validate? It may be right, it may be wrong, but there has to be something validate. There has to be something to be justified. The principle has to be there. Similar, we talk about the meditation or the yoga or the kriya. There has to be some principle. There has to be certain acknowledgement. You will find it. Then is very easy, a guideline or manual or the records or who has done it. And when you feel in good, then you follow it slowly. So we need to have some kind of authenticity. So Vedas is the authenticity. That's why whatever the practices in terms of yoga, in terms of pranayama, in terms of the principle is very important. The establishment is very important. So finally, Krishna says to the last verse that let your scriptures can be authority, and that's where they already define that how to follow code of conduct, what to be a Devi Tattva, what to be the Asura Tattva. We develop that qualities and we get away from the demonic qualities, and then you will get the high level of the spirituality, and we can remove from this bondages from cycle of birth and death. So this is what we talk about Krishna in this today's chapter.